19.4 Populations. After studying, go back to the objectives to make sure that you studied well. Okay, what's ecology again? Ecology is a branch of biology that studies the organism in its environment. So the relationships between living organisms and even between living organisms and the environment. Ecology divides the ecological terms into specific terms that you need to know. Population. Remember the three sames: a group of organisms of the same species at the same area and the same time. Okay, what's a species? We said the same species. It's the group of organisms that can interbreed or reproduce together and produce fertile offspring. So here we go, a population, same, and this is what species mean. And now a community. So what's a community? A community is a group of populations. Now, these are different populations, but we have two sames that are still the same. So a group of populations, different populations, living and interacting with each other in the same area at the same time. What's a habitat? It's the environment in which a species normally lives, the home of a species or of an organism. Now, what is this side of the story? This is the ecosystem. What's an ecosystem? It is the community, all the living organisms in a place with their abiotic factors. Abiotic factors mean the non-living things that they interact with, like the water, the air, anything that's non-living that they interact with. Most populations stay roughly the same over a period of time. They might fluctuate, which means increase and decrease, but the average of their number is usually the same. But as individuals die, new individuals are born, and this means that the oversize of the population stays the same. So the habitats, the different habitats in an ecosystem that include the abiotic factors are mixed with the biological factors like the producers, consumers, all individuals living or all species living in this area. Yes, we call this the community. So we have the community of different species living in the same area at the same time and with their abiotic factors. This is an explanation for this diagram. So what's the carrying capacity then? The carrying capacity is the maximum population size that an environment can support. For example, I have a very small piece of grass or a very small piece of land that's full of grass. This small area of grass will only be able to carry a certain amount of rabbits. More than this, there will be a lot of struggle of existence, which is competition, and some of the rabbits will be eliminated. So the death rate will increase. Even if the birth rate increased, the number or the average of the population size will still be the same because they reached the carrying capacity, the maximum capacity that this piece of land can carry. So again, carrying capacity, the maximum population size that an environment can support. So the resources in this environment can support up to a specific size of a population. More than this, there will be a lot of death and the population size will still be the same or will stay the same. We have two ways by which the population size increases. Either exponential growth or logistic growth. Exponential growth means that we did not reach the carrying capacity. The population size is increasing unstoppably. So growth of the population size without limitation of resources. This is what we call exponential growth. The logistic growth on the other side, when the population size plateaus or changes at the carrying capacity. So when the population size reaches the carrying capacity of the environment, it starts becoming stable. It starts becoming the same. The number of deaths will be the same as the number of individuals born, and this will make it the same number. This is due to the limiting factors. So resources are also limiting factors. They limit the number of individuals in a specific environment or ecosystem. What are limiting factors then? Limiting factors are first competition. If, for example, there is no plenty of food or there is no plenty of water in this environment, so there will be a competition and only a specific number of individuals will survive, which are the fittest for the environment. Diseases. If the food is limited, individuals are weak. If the water is limited, the individuals are weak. And since they are weak, they are more susceptible to diseases. They will be killed easily by diseases, and only the stable number or a few number of individuals can survive. Predation. So the food supply for the predator and its prey. So now we have the prey is the food of the predator, and the prey itself has its own sources of food. So when the number of prey increases, this means that the predator number will increase because they have plenty of food. Accordingly, the prey will decrease in number because they are being eaten or they escape predation. So when their number decreases, what will happen to the predator's number? Yes, they will decrease as well. Then this will give a chance for the prey to flourish again and to reproduce and to grow in number. So the carrying capacity of the environment depends on the number of predators and also the number or the availability of food for the prey itself. Food supply. If the food supply is poor, the population rate will definitely decrease because without food, individuals will not be able to survive. So these are the things that we call limiting factors. See, this is what we call predator-prey relationship cycle. So here you see the lynx and the hare or the rabbit. So this one is in blue and this one is in red. When the rabbit increased, what happened to the lynx? They increased too. But then, because of the predation, the rabbits decreased dramatically. Since they decreased dramatically, what happened to the population of the lynx? They decreased too. When they decreased so much, they were almost 5 or 10 maximum. Now, what happened to the population of the rabbits? They increased so much. It was a very good year for them. And so on. The cycle keeps going up and down. And when the prey increases, the predator will increase, but then the prey will decrease dramatically. Therefore, the predators will decrease, and then the prey will increase, and it goes and goes on like this. So let's see how we write it in an exam. The population size of the prey increases. Accordingly, the predator's population size increase. But this will cause a negative effect on the population size of the prey species. So the food supply for the predator will decrease. Accordingly, there will be starvation in the predator's species or in the predator's population. Accordingly, they will decrease and the prey will increase, and the cycle goes on and on. Population growth on microorganisms such as yeast. So let's take a look at the sigmoid curve here. So the sigmoid growth curve, please pay attention to the definitions. An S-shaped curve showing the change in the size of a population through all phases in population growth. So this is what we call the sigmoid curve. You see, it's an S-shaped curve that shows the change in the population size through the different phases of the population growth. So supposedly this population is growing. We're watching the different phases of this growth. The first phase is the lag phase. Can you see it here? So you will see them color-coded with the name of the phase. So it is the stage at the start of the population growth, where the curve is still small and the growth is very slowly. Can you see here? We're looking at time in hours and number of yeast cells in millions. So they only became 2 million in the first, now this is 12 and this is 24. So This one is about 18. So here until 18 hours, there were only 2 million cells. And then after the lag phase, we have the log phase or the exponential phase. Remember exponential growth? Growing without reaching or before reaching the carrying capacity. So they are growing increasingly or dramatically. Here we have only few hours, only 5 or 6 hours, and we have this huge growth. They reached 8 million cells. So this means that in a population, the birth rate is much bigger than the death rate. And since this is yeast, so we will say the cell division rate is much more than the death of other cells rate. So now we reached, what is this, where we plateau? This is the carrying capacity. So now we reached the carrying capacity of this environment. So we reached the stationary phase. In the stationary phase, the population curve remains roughly constant, almost. So this means that the birth rate or the cell division rate is equal to the death rate of the organism. After that, we have the death phase, which is the final stage of a population, where the curve starts falling down. So the death rate is more than the birth rate. And this is what we call the sigmoid curve. We have the age pyramid, a diagram showing the relative number of individuals of different ages in a population. So you see here the number of individuals born much more than the ones that died, because we still have people living in all of those eras, right? So the bottom heavy pyramid. What do I mean by bottom heavy? You have the bottom layer has a very big population. There are far more young individuals than old ones. So this means that the birth rate is higher than the death rate. So this means that this population is increasing more or less exponentially. And we have this other type of age pyramid. Now the diagram showing that the relative number of individuals in all ages of this pyramid are roughly equal. So this means that much more even spread of ages, which means that the birth rate and the death rate are probably the same. So this population will be almost the same size. Human population. Actually, human population is increasing exponentially, which means that they have steady increase since 4000 before Christ. So we are increasing exponentially without stopping. Why is this happening? What are the reasons behind the increase in the population growth of humans? That's because of the availability of resources in good quality, like what? Water, food, and health. So the improvement of water supply and the treatment of sewage water provided us with better water for our drinking and activities. So this made the resource available. Food. So we have hygienic food handling. We now handle our food more hygienically than before. Increase in the food supply. We will learn later how. And more land has been under cultivation. So we are making more of our food. Also, health. We started immunization against diseases like poliomyelitis and smallpox by vaccines. And also the discovery of antibiotics increased the age of humans. Before antibiotics, the bacterial infection was deadly. But thanks to antibiotics, people can survive now the bacterial infections because antibiotics can kill bacteria. Let's answer some questions together. The diagram shows the size of a population may change with time. Which point of the population is growing faster? At which point the population is growing faster? It is point A. That's true because this is exponential phase. Which graph shows the growth of a population where there are no limiting factors. So, no limiting factors, I'm looking at exponential growth. Which here diagram shows an exponential growth? Yes, it is B. In 2005, 15 mice were set free on an island where mice had never lived before. The table shows how their population changed over the next 3 years. So you see in 2005 there were 15, 2006, 62, 2007, so they are increasing and increasing dramatically. What caused the population change shown in the table? So this is exponential growth, which means that no limiting factors. Let's see. Lack of food, this is a limiting factor. Lack of space, limiting factor. Lack of water, limiting factor. But lack of predators. Predators here are the limiting factor. Their presence is a limiting factor. So now, lack of predators is the only unpresent limiting factor that will cause this exponential growth. The table shows the birth rates and death rates in 4 countries. Which country will double its population most quickly? So, the birth rate of the population in percentage and the death rate in percentage. In country A, the death rate is less than the birth rate, that's true. But the difference here is only 1. While here, the difference is almost 2, full 2. And here, the difference is 1.5, and here they are equal. So which one is more likely to double its population? The one with the highest difference, which is B. The diagram shows the age structure of a human population. So we have males and females and the number of individuals in each level or in each age range. Which age group has the largest number of people? It is under 15. Figure 5.1 shows a graph of the human population from the 1800s to 2010. The human population before 1800 had remained fairly constant. Suggest 3 reasons for the increase of the human population since 1800s. We can mention all of the reasons that increased or that caused the increase in human population. Better medication, better hygiene, better food, improved agriculture. So all of these are reasons in order to increase or that cause the increase in the human population. Thank you, and I hope this video helps you study.